Alright, so this is going to be another movie review. This one's called The Manchurian Candidate, 1962. I was disappointed. I disliked this flick. I'm giving it 2 out of 5 stars. It's supposed to be a Red Scare movie, but in reality, it's just a lame attempt to copy some typical Hitchcock spy thriller. And the reason why I got this 4 years earlier than expected was because I made the mistake of asking my coworker if he'd ever seen The Manchurian Candidate, but wanting to watch it for years. He said no. Not only did he see it, but he had the DVD that he wanted to loan me. So he sort of changed his mind later, and he said, "Well, I hope you're not going to return it like a month later." I said, "No, I'll watch it tonight," which was yesterday, and then I'll return it Monday. So that was pretty nice of him to loan it to me. I already had it on my Netflix queue at like number 497, something ridiculous, way down there on the bottom. So I just took it off and I watched it on widescreen. Um, and the irony behind it is that the director, John Frankenheimer, he he did it. My favorite movie of all times 3 years later, Seconds, and the only thing I liked about this movie was the killing scenes where the social hermit dude shoots shoots the Congress scritter and his wife with a silencer. That was pretty cool. Then at the end, he shoots his mother in the head, and another Congress scritter gets nominated for vice president. It's all very confusing. I'm going to have to take issue with that whole convention, whatever it was. I guess it was a Republican convention. Who knows? Everybody's wearing like an Abe Lincoln beard, and so I'm guessing it's Republican, but they never say in the movie. Anyways, it starts out with the Korean War. Henry Silva, of all people, plays a Korean guy, and of course he's Hispanic. He's Hispanic. Then you got Wolfat playing the Chinese doctor, whatever his name is, some kind of Chinese doctor on the Communist Committee in China, whatever. Of course, Wolfat is Egyptian. He's not even Chinese, but they keep making him out to be Chinese, and I think Henry Silva was also some kind of Oriental dude in another movie. So it's kind of funny how they keep using non-Oriental people to play Oriental roles, and not the least of which is the Manchurian Candidate. But getting back to the story, so Vietnam War is happening. Henry Silva traps the combat troops there, the U.S. combat troops, including but not limited to Frank Sinatra. Actually broke his finger fighting with Henry Silva later on. But in any case, the Sarge in charge of the platoon or whatever it is there, he's kind of cranky. He busts in to this like wild party with all these hot-looking Korean women, prostitutes presumably. So pretty realistic depiction of the Korean War there with the prostitution, a lot of prophylactics going around, and some gonorrhea issues with the prostitutes, I'm sure. But pretty cool that they actually showed that realistic portrayal of the Korean War. Unfortunately, from that moment on, the movie gets more unrealistic and ridiculous. Although it does sort of prophesize the Kennedy assassination that happened just a year later, which is kind of interesting. I believe Lyndon Johnson's mistress claimed that Lyndon Johnson was behind the JFK assassination. But that's a whole conspiracy theory that I've never actually bothered to investigate. But I'm sure Jesse Ventura has. Nevertheless, getting back to the movie, so the captain or the sarge or whatever he is, colonel, he the loner guy, he comes back to a hero's welcome. His mother, Angela Lansbury, is trying to get in front of the camera with him to take pictures. And there's this big sign that says Senator Congress Critter son. It's actually his stepson. So Angela Lansbury plays the loner sarge dude mother, and gets a hero's welcome. She holds a sign that says her lover's son, and of course the grumpy sarge guy gets all mad. He starts freaking out whenever he sees the Queen of Diamonds card. Wofat tells him to play some solitaire, and all of a sudden it looks like he's getting brain freeze from drinking an icy at 7-Eleven or something, and he starts going crazy, wasting people. Meanwhile, Frank Sinatra keeps having recurring nightmares about the how they were captured and brainwashed as or dry cleaned, as Wofat was saying, and it kind of switches between this weird old ladies, kind of old-fashioned ladies with hats and dresses from the 19th century, you're just sitting there and talking, but and then it's all of a sudden it switches to a bunch of Ruskies and Chinese people talking about how they're able to brainwash these soldiers to kill without any moral qualms whatsoever, because the brains are in complete control of these communists. I think the government gives the communists too much credit for being able to put out such an incredible, nonsensical, impossible thing to do, namely to turn a bunch of Korean War vets into communist zombies who kill on command. And that part was pretty ridiculous. Probably based on the Soviet Sputnik. Everybody thought, wow, the Soviets are pretty good at central planning. Now let's create NASA, that sort of thing. So they probably thought the communists were capable of doing anything, which is kind of ridiculous. And the writer on the bonus features actually tried to play down the whole anti-Russian theme in the movie. He said he was just trying to adapt the book into a screenplay, and nothing nefarious about Russians in this, which is kind of true. I can see what he's saying. Yeah, it comes across more like as a really poorly made imitation Hitchcock thriller, and the thing is that I was expecting much more, because the director John Frankenheimer did do my favorite movie of all time, 3 years later, Seconds. This one was a big disappointment for me. I thought about giving it 1 out of 5 stars, but I thought about the realistic Korean War scene, and the assassin scene was pretty gruesome. I'm surprised they allowed such a thing in 1962. But I keep thinking that this movie is from 1974 for some reason. I said in my last movie review that it was 1974. Anyways, getting back to the movie. So the other black soldier from the platoon, he starts having the same nightmares as Frank Sinatra, and finally the government believes Frank Sinatra that there's some kind of nefarious communist scheme going, very unbelievable type of scheme. So it's understandable that they would be skeptical at first, but then when they have two corroborating guys having the exact same kind of dream, that's when they start getting interested, and they hire Frank Sinatra to snoop on the loner soldier guy. He figures out the Queen of Hearts thing. Don't ask me how. They're just at a bar. The guy's playing solitaire while he's drinking beer, and then all of a sudden he draws the Queen of Hearts. For no apparent reason, he just jumps in the river in his suit. And that part didn't make sense. Then Frank Sinatra starts getting flirting with Janet Leigh on the train. That didn't really make sense. It seemed like she was an agent for these communists too, but in reality, she wasn't. The way she just kind of told him her apartment number, kind of awkward, like it didn't really seem genuine. It sounded like she kept repeating it like she was some kind of Russian agent. That's what I was thinking at first, but it turned out that she wasn't. She was gently attracted to him, even though he's like all sweaty and shaking from I don't know, from his recurring nightmare, I guess. And then there's the aforementioned political convention. It's either Republican or Democrat. There's really no difference between the two parties, other than maybe the Democrats nowadays want to impose a more severe type of communist system than the Soviet Union ever did. But it's kind of ironic how they try to say that the Chinese and the Russians are trying to infiltrate the United States when the whole last 100 years have been communist laws and regulations passed, the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto. So rather than looking at other countries influencing the United States, I think this movie would have been better served if it would have examined the people in the United States actually influencing themselves with this crap. Sort of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers back in the 50s. But anyways, I found out that Them was also considered a Red Scare film, because the giant ants were supposed to be communist invaders or something. I didn't even get that from watching it, but I didn't get much Red Scare from watching this one either. So the political convention is going on. Angela Lansbury orders her son to shoot the presidential candidate in the head, and I was puzzled as to what that would accomplish, because it is, after all, only a political convention. The guy's not elected president yet. So how does the vice president, her lover, get to be president magically all of a sudden when the presidential nominee gets shot in the head by her son? That part didn't make sense. So he dresses up like a priest, he carries a rifle, and again he's pointing the scope at the presidential candidates' heads for like 5 minutes, while Frank Sinatra sees him. At the last minute, he starts rushing up the back, the catwalks and the back area where employees aren't allowed, or where employees are the only ones allowed, I should say. He starts running up there. The guy's got his scope pointed on the wrong target. You're thinking he's going to carry out his mother's sinister plan. Frank Sinatra tried to deprogram him by carrying a full loaded deck of Queen of Hearts, 52 Queen of Hearts. It's like flashing him in his face to try to get him to unlearn his communist hypnotism. That seemed kind of far-fetched and didn't really make sense. And then, Frank Sinatra tells him, "Oh, call me at 8:30 and tell me what her plan is." Because he confesses that his mother's trying to pull an inside job on behalf of the communists. Then, so the guy goes to his mother, and she kisses him on the lips. Now, in real life, she was only 1 year older than he was, and in the book, they're supposed to have an incestual relationship or something. That's what the writer said in the bonus features, and that was bizarre. Couldn't really relate to any of these characters in this movie at all. And so he's got the scope pointed on the forehead of the presidential nominee. We think he's going to carry out his mother's wishes. He doesn't call Frank Sinatra like he was supposed to at 8:30. Frank Sinatra and his military co-worker get all excited. They rush over to the convention, and then Frank Sinatra sees him in the room doing his sniper stuff. Tries to rush up there, but by then he's already shot his mother and the vice presidential Congress scooter in the head. He says, "No army could have accomplished it. That's why I didn't call you." And then he goes, "Oh God, Ben," and he shoots himself like Kurt Cobain with the rifle. That was pretty cool. That part was decent, I have to say. That was the only part that I enjoyed besides the first 5 minutes or so, and the time when he shot his wife and his father-in-law Congress scooter dude. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of confusion, and yeah. Just to recap, I'm giving it 2 out of 5 stars. Hey, Adrian. I thought it was very disappointing. I was expecting a lot more. Seconds was my favorite movie of all time. And this is by the same director as Seconds. Turned out like a glass of wine. It turned out like or beer. I don't drink, but go for it. Have a Foster's. That's the only beer that I know of in Australia, but I'm sure there's more. Anyways, it came out like a really bad imitation of a Hitchcock thriller, this movie. So, the good news is that I got a date with a comely 22-year-old black lady, and flat-chested, really short-looking. But that's probably the only reason why she wants to date somebody who's like 27 years older. I'm going to meet her on Tuesday night or Tuesday afternoon while I have my son at the library. So that'll be interesting. Um, I haven't had a girlfriend in like 3 years already. She's calling me love and stuff, sending me hearts and all this on my phone. But yeah, pretty exciting. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully she won't flake on me. But she seems pretty legitimate. I mean, she's texting me like 10 times a day. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Don't drink. I've heard of such quote from John Wayne Alamo. Maybe I should watch it. John Wayne Alamo. Oh yeah, 1960 film. I've never seen it. It's on Netflix. Now I'm curious if I have it on my Netflix queue. Is it one of those colorized movies? Dang, I got 501 movies on my queue. How did that happen? Oh, I see. Okay, so the Alamo is not available on Netflix. Anyways, yeah, I'm real disappointed by this movie. My coworker let me borrow the DVD, and it was crappier than I expected. I'll add the Alamo to my Netflix queue after I'm done with this video. But yeah, my coworker lent me this DVD. He says he wants it back right away. So I watched it Friday night. I finished it up this afternoon, and he's going to get it back Monday for sure. Then he goes, well, you got to watch creature features. Okay. So I'm looking up creature features on YouTube, and I see a bunch of old movies, like sci-fi horror movies. When I saw creature features, it was on at midnight on Channel 2, and the cigar chopping guy in the rocking chair, Bob Wilkerson, was doing it. I used to stay up late just to watch him when I was a kid back in the 70s. Oh man, he played some great movies at midnight. It was like forbidden fruit for me. And I think that's how I got hooked on cult movies much later, like 13 years later. But the newer creature features has some heavy metal looking dude with a blondie bimbo, and it's kind of like oh, you know creature features? Cool. The newer version is on Channel 20. It plays at 10 p.m. So I'm going to check that one out. Next up is, I'll have to push out my other ones because this guy is just insisting that I watch creature features. I don't have a television, so I can't watch it on television. I have to watch it on YouTube. But creature features. Okay, here we go. A has-been rock star hosts the.
Hello, YouTube friends. We are the Motley Crew from Creature Features, and we would like to welcome.
Okay, Creature Features.
No, not Motley Crew. Motley Crew. It's a term that means. Hello, we're the crew of Creature Features, and we would like to welcome you to our channel. Welcome.
Yeah, I guess I'll watch the Eye Creatures tomorrow, but yeah, it's already Sunday in Australia. It's still Saturday here, and my dream girlfriend is probably texting me before I get my 9 hours of sleeping in. I got 11 hours yesterday, and I think my son doesn't have any Sunday school, so I can watch Creature Features and those two Woody Harrelson movies. I don't think I'll be able to get to the Lucci Fucci or the British dystopian 80s show. So, bummer. I know you want to see my my movie review for the Manchurian Candidate, but I already finished it by the time you entered the live chat. Sorry about that. There's so many things that are going on in this movie. It's very confusing, and I just got frustrated with it after a while. Oh, yeah, if you go back and check it out. There's some actor guy that I never heard of who plays the zombie Queen of Hearts loner leader of the military. He's just he died for some reason in the mid-70s. Frank Sinatra talks about it on the bonus features. Frank Sinatra's got his bowl hairdo in the 1980s. Bowl hairdo. He looks like Mo from Three Stooges with this bowl hairdo. Frank Sinatra later on. This is much later in the 70s or 80s. And, it's on the bonus features if you want to check it out. DVD. But pretty disappointing. 2 out of 5 stars. Didn't like it. Was expecting a lot more from the director. My favorite movie of all time, Seconds. 3 years later. Like I said, it was kind of prophetic because it kind of prophesied the JFK assassination 1 year later. But other than that, it was kind of dull, and I kept asking myself, when is there going to be a scene that really grabs my attention? When is there going to be a scene that is just so bizarre that I would say, wow, this movie is great, like Seconds. None of that ever occurred. Seconds is just, from beginning to end, is just pure weirdness and goodness. And this movie is like the polar opposite. I can't explain it. It must be the whole spy thriller imitation Hitchcock vibe that I got from it. It just really turned me off. But anyways, I'm going to go now and catch some shut-eye before I try to get through 2 or 3 movies for tomorrow. That's my goal. So I'll have those up early morning Australian time, I guess. Monday morning. So thanks for popping by, and I look forward to doing some more for you tomorrow. Laters.